The only thing that we can guarantee is that we are going to work our butts off to make sure that she wins. But we can't, like, it's not just going to happen. We have to make it happen.
Democracy needs to be a team sport.
It does. And it's got to be a sport where you lace up your shoes and get in the game.
We got to address the suburban women problem because it's real.
What do an economist,
a microbiologist and state representative,
and a fierce advocate for democracy have in common?
We're all suburban moms. The far right is trying to win over suburban women by pretending they're reasonable, even relatable.
But we're smarter than that.
Join us for a political journey through the eyes of suburban women, one conversation at a time.
Welcome to the Suburban Women Problem, a podcast from Red, Wine, and Blue.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jasmine Clark.
I'm Rachel Vindman.
I'm Amanda Weinstein.
And you're listening to the Suburban Women Problem. Last week, all three of us were at the DNC, the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, and it was absolutely amazing. Honestly, amazing is probably not a very inadequate descriptor for what it was. But I mean...
Wait, first question. Was it your first DNC, Jasmine and Rachel?
It was.
Mine too.
It was my first time. And I honestly, because it was my first time, I don't have any context as to what it is like or has been like. But I was asking people who have done this before, I was like, is it always like this? Like, is the energy always this palpable, and the enthusiasm and the joy and the excitement and all of these things? I was like, is this every DNC, or did I just luck up and just happen to be a delegate at the best DNC like ever? And a lot of people said like, this was like nothing they've ever experienced before. And this was from people who've been going to DNC since the 80s.
Yeah, I only went 2 nights. I was there for 3 nights, but one night we had another thing to go to, and I was only there 2 nights. So the first night, I didn't really know where to go, where to sit. And it was Wednesday, the vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz's night. So I just randomly was like, is there anyone with just one seat? And so I sat between these 2 women. One of them like lives about 5 miles from where I used to live in Virginia. So that was very funny. And the other side was some women from North Carolina who were absolutely delightful. And I asked them the same thing, and they all said, no, it is not ever like this. And they were hilarious. And you know what? Unfortunately, my husband came and we went up to some sort of penthouse suite. And I was like, I would just like to be back with my friends down there because they were really cool. And then I didn't have to make small talk. I mean, I did because they were fun. But I just wanted to watch like everything, all the speeches. And like when they brought out the Project 2025 book, and anyone who watched it knows what I'm talking about, like the woman next to me, but like this was on Wednesday. When she was like, oh, they're bringing out the book now. And I just loved it. I loved everything about it. It was amazing. Oh, it was amazing. You're right. Amazing is a good enough word, but
it was very well done. And so I got to watch the first night, and then we listened to it as we were driving home the second night and watched the others. And I will say this, it is way better being there than watching commentators on TV. Sorry, you guys, I know you do your best, but there is so much jam-packed into every minute that is so good. And even the people who the commentators are like, talking over, they're like, who are less important, quote unquote. I was like, oh no, some of them were my favorites. I love these.
I agree. I totally agree. Jasmine, we got to talk about something. Lil Jon.
Oh my gosh. So I cannot believe, okay, so I'm a delegate. And so as a delegate, basically our job is to vote for who will be the next presidential nominee. And so we had already done the official vote. The roll call vote was pretty much ceremonial at this point, but we still did it the same way we would have done it had we not had to do that virtual roll call.
But with a soundtrack, which was amazing.
Oh yeah. This is where I was like, this is the contrast between like the RNC and the DNC. Every single state had their own song. that they got like their quote walkout song to do their roll call speech to. The roll call speeches were so enthusiastic and so energetic. And then when they got to Georgia, all of a sudden lights go down and we just hear Lil Jon music, and Lil Jon like comes out from some random place in the stadium. I am a delegate and I did not know this was going to happen. Even the Georgia delegates were like so pumped and so excited.
I've watched it like 10 times.
That's pretty much like embodies like how exciting this was. Like everything was like just full of surprises and everyone's just like, oh my gosh, I can't take anymore. It was so fun. Lil Jon. So I will say, I don't think it's a competition,
but
I think that roll call is just supposed to be like, it's a procedural thing. However, if it was a competition, Georgia totally won roll call. So I wonder what future DNCs will be like. Will they go back to the traditional, or will we now see mini concerts for different states?
I mean, it was fun. That was the thing, is it's just, there was such a fun energy and it went with it. I mean, it wasn't like a departure. Every night was fun. And I guess apparently the New York Times doesn't like, basically anything, but they're like, joy isn't a strategy, but it is.
And a good one.
Like, I know that anger and fear worked as a motivator for a long time, and it's absolutely true that it did, but I think we've turned a page on that. And
I do too.
We were all together last week, and I think we discussed it there of like when we got together last week, is I think that was true for a long time, but things can change. It doesn't have to be that way forever. And I think we're just tired. Also, let's just be clear. Fear might be a motivator, but you can only lie to people so many times.
Right.
And none of the things they've ever said have come true. Like, there are no globalists and scary things that's coming over. And we still haven't had communism. Like, all the stuff that they've been promising and scaring us about for a long time has not happened. And people are not idiots. They're tired of like, why should I do what you want me to do and vote for these horrible people just because you say these things are going to happen, but they haven't happened in all this time? I mean, people do have logic and reasoning skills.
I'm actually a little upset that one of their, scary things didn't happen. Like, I was promised taco trucks on every corner.
And snow cones.
Do you remember him saying that? I was like, wait, is that a bad thing? Because I definitely want taco trucks on every corner.
So just lies upon lies.
Yeah, why don't we bring that back up? Because we should notice that he promised taco trucks and it didn't happen, and I do want that.
Yes.
I did see something really funny on Twitter because they were like, they were doing abortions, they were doing vasectomies, they had taco trucks and snow cones. And someone was like, if you need a vasectomy and an abortion, you deserve a taco and a snow cone.
Right. So, but
you got a lot going on.
I love that. The thing about New York Times that I think they are missing the mark on is when one side's tactic has always been fear and lies and insecurities. When they see a campaign run on joy and hope and things like that, number one, you can't say that's not a strategy because we got Obama with hope. But secondly, I think—
what short-term memory do they have?
Right,
like,
I know. But it also denies the fact that there are many people in our society that culturally joy is what drives them. In the Black community, joy is a very powerful motivator. And so I think the New York Times thinks they speak for everyone. And the truth is, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, they not like us. And I'm just going to say that there are people where joy is exactly what they mean. I can literally think of gospel songs that are just about joy coming in the morning, getting through something because joy comes in the morning. So yes, joy is a very powerful motivator. And with a Black woman at the top of the ticket, it totally fits with everything. It's on theme. And so the New York Times needs to get this right, or they can just keep getting it wrong and keep, I don't even know what they're doing anymore. Like, I kind of don't pay them any attention.
I know, I saw a lot of
people have to tell me what they say.
Yeah, same.
But they also have Kamala Harris also has a policy strategy that goes with that joy, right?
Exactly.
It's not just like we're happy and have all celebrities, which by the way, we're happy and have like all the celebrities you would want to see. But it is also that there's a policy strategy that goes with that. If you look at survey after survey, America is not the happiest country out there. We're like a little bit miserable compared to a lot of other countries.
Correct.
And it's not just a cultural thing. In fact, it's not a cultural thing. It's because they offer a lot more of the safety nets we've been talking about and support, so that you don't have to worry about if you lose your job, if you get diagnosed with cancer, if you name any number of things that could happen to us at any point in time.
Have a baby. Literally have a baby.
Like you will be supported so that you don't go bankrupt. You will make sure your family's supported, your children are supported. You will have housing and food and all of these things. Like you can be a lot happier when that safety net is there to support all of the connections between families and the support the families need. So there's like this clear policy strategy when you talk about addressing childcare and addressing housing and letting kids eat at lunch. All of those things are these like joy producing things that make our lives easier and happier, that other countries have and are a lot happier because of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I still talk to people who have children that live overseas, and those children are like, I kind of don't want to come back because we have childcare here. There's not this gun violence issue. And like, I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. But I kind of love being in this country that actually values children and families and life in general in a way that the United States only pretends to do. So yes, you're right, Amanda. It's joy, but it's joy on the prospect of having a country that's moving forward and doing the things that we should have been doing so long ago if we weren't driven by I don't want this because if I have this, then people I don't like will also have it.
Yep.
That's where we are as a country, and that's where we have to move from.
Yes, you're exactly right. And we've talked about it before. There are a lot of people in that camp. One of the things talking about joy and joy coming in the morning, that was something that was talked a lot about. I mean, that psalm was on Ellie's birth announcement because that was very much the story of our infertility journey of joy came in the morning. I mean, darkness lasted for a long night. And I think anyone who's everything is worse at night, right? I mean, but then the sun rises and you're like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can handle this. And when Governor Walz talked about their family waiting for that call, I mean, I felt it. Like I got really teary because I waited for those calls. I waited for those calls when none of my eggs fertilized and it was just a failed cycle from the get-go. That happened twice. And I waited for the calls when it was like kind of okay. All those, you're just waiting for a call all the time when you're doing fertility treatments. And it was so relatable and I felt so seen. And then his son was so proud of him. And in that moment, others
that made me tear up.
Honestly, that was one of my favorite moments of the convention.
Goodness. Same. I mean, when they showed him.
His son was us, honestly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He just was showing it. He was just very visibly showing it. Yeah.
But the people who attacked that, it is truly the antithesis of joy. The antithesis of like unconditional love. I mean, the reality is we have a lot of broken people in our country and we just have to like ignore them and keep our head down and do the work, because I don't think we're ever going to convince people. We're never going. I did a troublemaker training. Katie Paris and some of the ladies from Red, White, and Blue did a troublemaker training in Chicago, and I was able to go to that. And, I'm just like, preach when they said, we're not trying to change the minds of hardcore MAGA people. Like, that's not what we're here to do. Don't waste your time on that. And I'm like, yes. Just say it louder, because that's just going to bring you down. I said on Twitter today, there's a woman at the gym. She did it today. She goes in, she's hardcore MAGA. She has all the stickers. She even has a flag. And like, she comes in mad every day. And there's like a few people she talks to, but if they're not there, she just goes and gets on the machine and immediately starts like this negative conversation with the people next to her. It is so horrible. And I'm like, Who wants to live like that?
Right. Sounds like a team. Yeah. And it doesn't sound like a team you want to join. Like who goes, that's who I want to hang out with. Like, no.
Even if I agreed with her, I couldn't take it.
No. And a lot of the posts about Tim Walz's son were taken down like very quickly, which I was really excited about.
And Coulter.
Yeah. Oh, took it down.
Yeah. I feel like they were like, oh, guys, wrong. We hit the wrong note on
They're
this
like,
one.
oh, wait, we're supposed to be the pro-family party, but now we're attacking kids. Like, it's already clear you're not the pro-family party. However, they made it more clear.
All the things that they say they want to do, and they say that they protect, and they are, every life has meaning, which I truly believe myself. All these things, they attacked it. It doesn't make any sense. And you better believe.
No, I mean, it does make sense. Look at Trump, who was making fun of a reporter for his disability.
That's true.
Not what he said, although he didn't like what he said. He just made fun of the disability. Like, you can do a direct line between Trump making fun of that reporter to what they said about Tim Walz's son.
Yep, it tracks. So we got a memo actually after the DNC that just talked about turning this energy into action.
Preach.
And the number of volunteers, first-time volunteers across the nation, we got 35,000 in Georgia alone, y'all. I think it was something like 400,000 people, in addition to who was already volunteering. 400,000 new people signed up to volunteer. And, honestly, I don't keep up with MAGA enough to know if they also have 40,000 volunteers.
I don't think
so.
But
something tells me they do not.
They can't pack a stadium. No. And on that, okay, the brilliance of Vice President Kamala Harris and her team in everything. However, her deciding, do you know what I'm going to do when they name me as the candidate? I'm going to not only pack the DNC stadium, I'm also going to pack the RNC stadium at the same time. The stadium they couldn't pack.
Milwaukee.
We were just like, oh my God. And, she doesn't say it, but you're like, oh man, this is brilliant.
Yeah. No, I mean, she is really good. I have to say for this, yes, she has her own comms team, but the campaign stuff is all the same. And what we see is the permission to hit back, because we are in a different time. And this is what you see, this energy and this fired up is because we got to hit back the same way. And I know it's not as appealing to everyone, but I mean, this is where we are and it's working. I totally agree with it.
But let me just say on that, it's not just hitting back. I think it's hitting back and taking the steering wheel away from these crazy drivers. So it is saying whatever you said about Gus, this is ridiculous, take it down. But now let's talk about what impressive masculinity we see on display at the DNC. We see men supporting women and proud to do so. Isn't this amazing? And I also got to see Pete Buttigieg speak at the Vote Bets event. One thing that I think he does very well is he hits back. It's short, it's quick, it's instant, and he immediately steers where he wants that
conversation. Good at that. Yeah.
And then he spends most of his time on what he wants to talk about, on the amazing things this administration's done, the amazing thing the next administration is going to do. And I'm like, good. This is great. Quick hit back. Let's talk about what we need to talk about now.
Yes.
I love the ability to clap back without ever even mentioning the other person's name.
Oh, yes.
It is the ability to fill up the RNC and the DNC stadium and then, officially become the nominee in front of that many people at the same time, simultaneously. Number one, shout out to the production team. But number two, that's a clap back where you don't even have to say any words. She never had to say, oh, look what I was able to do. Mm-hmm. We just saw it and we were like, oh, wow. Yeah, she's making a statement without saying a word. And I think that is the type of, when we talk about when they go low, we go high. Yeah, that's how we go high. We go high by saying, oh, I'm still going to say something to you, but I'm going to say it in a way where I don't have to call you out of your name. Yeah. I don't have to, be rude to you. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I'm just going to show you the difference between me and you just by standing still and simulcasting two different stadiums at the same time. That is how I am going to, quote, fight back. And I think that she does that so well. I think that, to your point, Rachel, her campaign is really moving I really like the way her campaign is running, where they are not afraid to do those things. I loved even how Michelle Obama, Miss We Go High, even she used an opportunity to use her words to say, yeah, we go high, but we also let them know who we are. Yes. And so I loved her speech as well. Honestly, both of the Obamas, like, how do you live in a house? Like, I cannot even imagine being Sasha and Malia living in a house where both of your parents are such great orators, because I can't imagine getting in trouble at that house. Like, it seems like that would be
I know. I can picture lots of lectures and speeches. Yeah. I mean, I think Michelle Obama had like one of the greatest Yancey speeches of all time. Like, it was amazing. I loved every second of it. And former President Obama was great too. But like, she was amazing. Another one of my favorites was Jasmine Crockett early on. Another Jasmine.
Yes.
Jasmine, I loved her speech. It was like quippy, but it was like funny and it felt genuine. She also cried at part of it. It just felt very real to me. And I loved these speeches that felt like you were having a real, like, it was just like me and Jasmine talking. And I was like, oh, I love her.
I love her facial expressions when she talks.
Oh, and her outfit.
She's very expressive.
Oh, her outfit. Can I just say, I know this is like not consequential, but I did love her outfit.
She always looks incredible.
The black with the white rim and the beautiful brooch.
But she has something to go with it, which I like too.
She does.
I want to touch on what you're saying about like just how genuine she is. And that is something that I think is so underrated. The woman I spoke to that I sat next to from Virginia is the head of the Black Caucus of Virginia. So I was like, well, my brother-in-law's running. Do you have any advice for him? And her advice was lighten up a little bit. And as a first-time candidate, I don't think he is like, he is a very fun-loving, like, super fun person. But I think it's like this, as a first time candidate, not knowing what to say or trying to, appear professional, congressorial. Is that a word? I don't know. But also people want to, like, they're not going to go with you when you're elected. They want to trust you, that you will do the right thing. And that is like just the integrity, like that it's a moral person who shares your values, that it's a real person and not just someone who's like doing like issue bingo of like message testing and this is what's important. No one wants to hear that. What they want to know is that you're going to represent them. And that's something, the vice president's speech was quite long. I wasn't really expecting it to be that long, but it was hard to kind of grade it at the time. So it took me some time to go back and reflect on it. But the one thing I maybe loved most, I liked learning a lot about her and her life and her mom and just growing up. But I loved that she didn't shy away from one topic. By the end of it, there was not one thing that is important to, like, one of the most important things.
Yes, all the things, immigration, crime, you name it. She's like, the economy. I was like, yes.
She didn't just give it like a little bit of a glancing blow. I mean, she actually was substantive on every issue.
Yes. And I loved the smart on crime, where I was like, yes, that is the message. She is not only smart on crime, she knows how to do it. She's a prosecutor. She has experience. She's got the data to back her up. And it makes intuitive sense, right? It doesn't make sense to let someone go through a system and come out worse off so they commit another crime, right? Intuitively, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, so let's rehabilitate people so you reduce the recidivism and they don't go back and commit a crime, and you reduce crime rates. It makes more sense. But also, just like investing in children would really reduce crime rates. Like, that is being smart on crime.
Yeah. I also, one of the things I loved about her speech is, number one, the RNC or the GOP or Republicans, whoever, MAGA, their whole thing, the only thing they have right now, or there's two things, the two I's, immigration and inflation. That's basically their only messaging that they have. And she tackled both, because I think that sometimes consultants will say, just don't bring those up because we don't poll well on those two things.
Wrong strategy.
But then she's like, no, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about what we've been doing, and I'm going to talk about what we want to do. And I am not going to let them have a monopoly on these topics because they're actually wrong on these topics. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, her just coming straight out and saying, look, man, we had a deal on immigration. They fumbled the football on that because Donald Trump told them, drop the ball. That's not us. That's them. And on inflation, I love that more people are starting to understand that sometimes inflation is actually driven by, we need to raise prices because we need to. And sometimes inflation is driven by, we're raising prices because people will pay for it anyway. And so we might be gouging a little bit, and now we're making record profits. So did we really need to double the price of that thing? Probably not. And also, when you talk about inflation, you can't talk about the rise of cost and not associate that also with the rise of people's medical costs. And I love how they bring those two things together. So I think that policy-wise, I always hear from Republicans, she doesn't have a platform. She doesn't have a platform. And I'm like,
that's such bullshit.
She does, though. All right, guys, I think this is a good place for us to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have more about our week at the DNC.
We need to be the party of nationalism. And I'm a Christian, and I say it proudly. We should be Christian nationalists.
I think the 19th Amendment should be repealed. I think that because, first and foremost, because I'm a Christian. Where women get their voice is from their father, from their husband.
We are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone.
In our new limited podcast series, Sacred Politics, we reveal the dangers of Christian nationalism amidst the 2024 election cycle.
We would not have called ourselves Christian nationalists. We just thought we were good Christians.
You don't need a majority win elections. You just need a disproportionately mobilized minority.
White Christian nationalists hope to accomplish nothing less than a theocracy, a Christo-fascist theocracy, which is simply another way of saying white Christian nationalism.
The good news of Jesus is at stake, especially when we see people that are proclaiming to be Christian, and yet a tree is known by its fruit, and we see the fruit of it, and it is not the beautiful fruit of love that Jesus says we will be known for.
Through compelling narratives and expert interviews, we examine how Christian nationalism influences elections, legislation, and public discourse, while also highlighting how faith-driven activism can inspire meaningful and positive change. Tune in to episode 1 of Sacred Politics on September 4th.
So it was so great to see Red, Wine, and Blue at the DNC this year. Women were represented in so many ways. So let's talk about that a bit. Rachel, you said you went to a troublemaker training, right?
I did, and it was really good. I mean, I always like the troublemaker trainings, but it was really fun to go to one in person. And the women were very eager and taking notes, which you always like to see. That's a very Rachel thing to do. But it was really heartening. And just last weekend, Alex and I went out to dinner, and a woman recognized Alex. It was like two couples having dinner together. And one of the women recognized Alex. She was like, I'm just sure it's him. I'm sure it's him. And they're like really close to us. I was like, will you just look over there and wave or something? And then they proceeded to have like a very long conversation about politics. I could hear her mostly because she was kind of faced towards us, but then I could tell there was some disagreement. She never stopped. Guys, she brought the facts. And I was like, were you our troublemaker training? I mean, she was just over and over and over. She never lost her cool. She was like, I was like, I need to like record this. This is a master class. She just presented facts. She was very deliberate and didn't get sidetracked, and her friend as well. And, when it comes to relational organizing, the whole point of it is people trust you more than anyone else. I mean, we like to do these things. We do postcards. we're maybe not convincing people when we send postcards. We're reminding them that they need to vote, that they need to be ready to vote. I mean, these are the things we're trying to reach other people. But when it comes to issues, relational organizing is so much more effective because you already have rapport. And the things that she was saying were so powerful because here she is, she's with, her partner, spouse, and clearly a close friend. And like, they can take the things that she said, even if they didn't believe it then, and go look it up and see, and read something about it. And I just thought it was great. So I told her, like, you just keep on keeping on, girlfriend. You are really doing a great job. And that's what relational organizing really is. We have the troublemaker trainings regularly. It's never too late to sign up. We also went through how to use the Rally Your Squad app, which is a wonderful app. I use it for my friends as well. And it's just really effective and easy. You can do it in 10 minutes a day. You don't have to dedicate your entire life to organizing, campaigning. I mean, there are times you can do more, but there are times you can do really great things in 10 minutes by just texting friends and talking to them and making sure they're registered to vote. If they're in Georgia, that they're checking every 12 hours to make sure they're still registered to vote. All these things. This is how we do it. We got to do the ground game. And it's not just standing on the street corner waving a flag. Like, that's not going to win this election. That is not going to do the work. So, but it was really lovely.
But also, like, having that relationship is what lets you be able to stick to the facts, right?
100%.
It's where you see on like Twitter where people devolve into the terrible memes about people. I'm sorry, you're not going to convince someone to come to your side by saying terrible things about them and creating memes about them, right? But when you have that relationship, right, it's less likely to devolve, and you can talk about the facts and the policies and what matters to you and your family. But also you can ask them the question of, hey, what matters the most to you? What are you the most concerned about? And as we mentioned, Kamala Harris talked about just about every topic most people say is important to them. So if you're like, oh, is it crime? Is it immigration? Is it the economy? Is it reproductive rights? Which one are you most concerned about? Because we've got a plan for that on this side.
When we talk about relational organizing, it's something that I do. But it's a little different for me because I am also a candidate in Georgia. And so a lot of the times I am speaking to people that I don't necessarily have a strong relationship with. But I also have people in my district, in my state, in my family, like the entire time I was there, texting me, being like, oh, this is so great. This is wonderful. And they really, truly do trust me. So, when everything was going down with Joe Biden and people saying like, his age is concerned to me, they were texting me being like, I'm worried. And I was able to have those conversations with them. And then when he first endorsed Kamala and it was pretty much presumed that she would be the nominee, they were still texting me like, I'm worried. I'm worried about if people will accept her. I'm worried about if she can actually win this. I'm very concerned, about the attacks that she will endure, all of those different things. And they came to me in confidence because they trust me. Mm-hmm. And now after this, they're coming to me like, I am excited. What can I do? How can I help? When's the next time she's going to be in Atlanta, or when's the next time she's going to be in Georgia? I just want to be a part of this. And I'm so excited to be a part of this. And the thing is, like, these people have relationships with me where they can tell me when they're scared, but they can also tell me when they're excited. And relational organizing, that allows you to have those conversations, real life conversations. What I say, on a public platform, in a campaign ad might be a very different conversation than I'll have with my aunt or my cousin who's like, I have this fear, or I have this concern, or what about this, or what about that? And relational organizing allows you to just have like deeper conversations than sound bites. That's why I love what Red, White, and Blue is doing. I think they've had this formula, to be clear, way before even this election was happening. Troublemaker trainings have been going on for a very long time. Oh, yeah. They've got the formula. And I really do think that people will benefit from learning how they can make a change. Like you said, Rachel, maybe it's 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes a week to, hours, like whatever they're interested in doing. We have that formula for them. They don't have to build it. They don't have to build the plane. Like it's already built. Just get in and fly with us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to say just one more thing about relational organizing is when you contact your friends about like the Rally My Squad app or anything, when you talk to your friends, 5, 10 friends, 15, whatever it is, you're also putting yourself out there as someone who's informed on these issues. So even if they don't ask you right then, they could come to you like, Justin's a candidate, and people know she's informed, but maybe your friends don't know that this is something that you are involved in and you're informed on. They can come to you at different times with different questions, and you're ready with the answers and the resources. It'd be out, all kinds of things.
I think to your point, let's be clear. The DNC, the energy was electric, but at the end of the day, this is still a close race, and we still have a candidate that basically is doing in what was like 90 something days what most candidates do over years. We have to operate from a position, and I'm a candidate, so I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying this to say that Kamala Harris is an underdog, but what I'm saying is run like you are.
Mm-hmm.
Always run like there is a possibility that you do not have this. And right now, there is no guarantee that Kamala Harris wins. The only thing that we can guarantee is that we are going to work our butts off to make sure that she wins or to try to ensure a win. But we can't, it's not just going to happen. It's not just going to materialize. We have to make it happen.
Democracy needs to be a team sport.
It does. And it's got to be a sport where you lace up your shoes and get in the game. Like, it's not a sport where you sit on the bench and clap and, say, oh, this is great. This is fun. No, we need kind of everyone in whatever way they feel they can, everyone to just jump in and say, put me in, coach. That's a shout out to Tim Walz.
Yeah.
Love the coach team. The coach team is great.
By the time this comes out, we'll have 69 days until Election Day. We can all take action right now to make a difference. One thing you can do to fight extremism and get out the vote is join Rally. Just visit pod.redwine.blue/rally.
All right. So with that, I think now is a very good time for us to transition to our Toast to Joy. See, we've been doing joy since this podcast started.
Say,
yeah,
like early adopters.
Yes,
thank you for getting on our train.
That's true.
All right, so Rachel, what's your Toast to Joy?
My Toast to Joy is our friends Victor and Arit sending us 15 texts to sign up for a run for Ukrainian Independence Day on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. And I remember waking up thinking I could just do my run now and I would be done by the time the race starts. But it was a race on the beach and it was for a very good cause. There's still so much heart and about Ukraine, even as they continue to face really dark days. And especially last night, there's lots of shelling and bombing of missiles shot from Russia at Ukraine. So it was really wonderful. So thank you, Victor, for pestering us. I am so glad that we did it. And I got third place in my age group. Ori got second. There might have only been 3 people. I don't know. But in my age group, Alex got second in his. I will say that I was running and I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm the last person. But there were people behind me. I just didn't turn around to look. And then I kept running. I do not run fast. I just kept running and I ended up passing some people who had stopped to walk. No shame in it. I'm not shaming them, but it just felt good. I just kept going.
Love it. Just keep running.
Back to I know, just keep running. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. And it was great. It was a really good way to start our weekend. But anyway, that is my Toast to Joy. We finally did recover after that. Yesterday was a day of recovery. We were able to recover and now ready to get to work. So
I haven't had my day of recovery yet. It's coming.
Yeah, you need it. Amanda, what is your Toast to Joy this week?
I am going to make my toast to joy to my friends Stephanie Brown James and Quentin James, who are the founders of the Collective Pack.
Love them.
I got to go to a wonderful brunch that they put on, and they put on some amazing events. We got to see, for example, Governor Wes Moore, who was amazing, introduced by John Legend, an Ohioan.
Oh my goodness.
It was just an amazing event. Loved hearing from Wes Moore. And but I really would like to give them a shout out for all of the good work they do. So when you're walking into an event and some of the signage they have, like, if you want to change the laws, we need to change our lawmakers. I was like, oh, that's a really good one. I love that. And they are doing some really good work, and they are very policy oriented as well. So they are looking to get lawmakers that actually represent people and are more diverse. So specifically, they support Black legislators up and down the ballot. And they're also looking for policies that help Black residents. And they do it all, I just think, amazingly. And so I'm very impressed with the work that they do at the Collective Pack. So to Stephanie and Quentin, my toast of joy is to you.
I love them. They're awesome.
They are amazing and so fun. I knew that we would be friends when how much Stephanie and our friend Crystal loves brunch.
Yes.
Brunch is our favorite.
Love that. All right. So my toast to joy this week, I kind of have two. First toast to joy, son is officially off to college. He is officially a college freshman. He has already had his first week of school. He's already turned in a 2,000-word paper. And he's like, Mom, what is going on? But just, toast to him for his next journey. I'm just very proud of him. I'm a proud mama bear right now. My second toast to joy is to Kelly and Vincent at Sister District YOLO out in Yolo County, California. Thank you so much for your hospitality this weekend. You all are just absolutely amazing. We talk about Southern hospitality all the time, but there is definitely like the welcome. They just rolled out the welcome mat for me out there. And I have never just felt so just embraced. Mm-hmm. So thank you all so much for a glorious weekend. I had a great time. Mm-hmm. And so with that, thanks so much to everyone for joining us today. Next week, we're taking a short break for Labor Day, and instead we'll have another amazing limited series to share with you. It's called Sacred Politics, and it's produced by the same women who brought us The Cost of Extremism last year. So be sure to tune in to this 3-episode series next week. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on another episode of the Suburban Women Problem.
The Suburban Women Problem was created by Red, Wine, and Blue. Our producer and editor is Amy Thorstensen, our project manager is Lindsay Quist, and our editorial assistant is Abigail Martin. For more information about upcoming events and trainings, or to learn more about Red, Wine, and Blue, follow us on social media or at www.redwine.blue.